I'm sure you had a chance to talk to several parents as you've done your tour.
I have.
And I'm sure that this topic has come up. What has been some of the greatest some of the greatest questions or reservation that you've encountered from parents?
I mean, it's an excellent question, and I'll take major responsibility in the fact that when you're going through a major implementation and reform efforts of which we are, we have to communicate extremely effective. We just can't assume people are going to know this, and through the process of osmosis, people are going to understand. What I've found as a frustration with our parents is the fact that they feel like they can't help their child. They don't understand, what's expected. So at the department right now, we're working on documents and materials that are going to assist parents in terms of how they can assist their child with the instructional knowledge, with the aspect of what goes on in school. So I want the parent as an active participant. The primary teacher of a child is the parent. And so we have to have that major partnership with them. We have to provide us distant resources. So when they go to back to school night, it's more than just what's occurring in terms of community activities, but how you can engage with your child's teacher to promote the learning process. I've heard that time and time again, that they feel like they need additional support. And so we're providing that. Whether we're using this set of standards or this curriculum, that's just a good way of approaching it, no matter what's occurring in schools. Parents need to be partners.
Research clearly indicates that significant improvement in schooling is offered for kids is most successful at the local level of school. How will adoption of the Common Core standards contribute to the improvement at the local level?
Well, I think it's again another wonderful question. I mean, there has to be a roadmap, and there has to be a level of accountability in the sense of based upon the fact that we are a state that puts quite amount of dollars towards education, and we receive a lot of dollars from education from the federal level, and so those dollars are not just given at the discretion and saying just continue to educate. There has to be a level of accountability, which I'm a firm believer in. Those dollars need to be spent judiciously to get good results in that level of accountability. So taking that into account, that accountability level occurs from the state level. I have accountability to the federal level because as a state we receive over $300 million from the federal level for a variety of reasons. And for a variety of purposes. So there is that level of accountability to both the federal and to the state level. So we set those standards with an expectation that quality teaching and learning is occurring every day. At the local level, then as we look at it, we want to continue to promote an environment of innovation and creativity in how those things are occurring in the classroom, again, to prepare those 21st century learners. So it's a nice blend of state involvement and the fact of providing the guidance in what needs to occur, and then encouraging the innovative practices that need to occur at the local level to ensure that the child is receiving the best possible education, to move them through that grade level, ensuring proficiencies in terms of reading, to ensure that they're moving forward in such a wonderful way that they are able to complete high school, college, and career ready.
Do you think that teachers in West Virginia are equipped at this time to implement the Common Core standards?
I firmly believe that teaching is an ongoing process. I'm a lifelong educator, and I can say that I'm constantly reading and constantly learning. You just can't rest on your laurels in our profession as a teacher, as a principal, as a superintendent. You constantly have to be on the cutting edge of professional development and staff development and training. You have to constantly be reading and understanding the latest theories, the latest processes, because teaching is an evolving process. We're learning so much now about the brain development, how students learn, and so we want to make certain that our teachers, we're getting the very best teachers out of college that are aligned with our teacher education programs so that they're preparing them for the world of work as a teacher for the 21st century. Those days are different than what my teachers were prepared for, so we always have to think forward in that sense. We have to provide professional development opportunities at the local level, and our superintendents are really focused in on that. And then again, wrap that around with what we provide at the state level as well, with our Center for Educational Professional Development, what occurs from the department, and making a concerted effort. So when you ask me the questions, are teachers fully prepared? I feel that we are always on an ongoing process of always preparing our teachers. That we are never fully prepared because it's constantly shifting, and we have to always be aware that we're always learning. So as our students are learning, our teachers are learning, and it's a lifelong fluid process.
How are the Common Core standards different from West Virginia's previous standards?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. The previous standards, I mean, what you do when I've lived through several reforms, and I've done several of these as far as moving from one set of standards to the next. The first thing that you do is you take a look at your standards in terms of where you currently were, where you previously were, and you compare them to the new set of standards of which you're trying to promote. Ultimately, in line, why do we change standards? To go to a higher level of learning, a more rigorous curriculum is which we say, or a more rigorous set of standards, I should say. So what you do is you do what is called an analysis, and you kind of do a gap analysis. You figure out what things do we want to bring forward. And for the most part, our standards were about 80% the same, but what they weren't, where the big difference was, is that they weren't aligned fully to college and careers. So our standards now have been endorsed by Higher Ed and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, and we're receiving grades of A's and B's in terms of both reading and math, A- and B+ in those two arenas. Previously, our scores were a B and a D in those areas of math and reading language arts. So our standards have been increased. They are now aligned so that they progress in a meaningful way from one grade level to the next. What is called in our world as articulation, that it's articulated, and it makes sense that skills build from one grade level to the next, and that they are fully aligned to higher ed and to careers, so that when you finish high school, and the ultimate goal and the big vision is that when you finish high school in West Virginia, that your diploma matters, that you can go into a career and be career ready and have the skills necessary to get a job. You also have the skills necessary to now go into college and go into credit-bearing courses so that you're not spending time spinning in a developmental course or a remediation course. So the biggest distinction is our standards now are the highest in terms of the level of rigor. They've been endorsed by a lot of independent sources at a high grade level in terms of A's and B's, and the fact is they're aligned to higher ed, and those are the big distinctions.
As I mentioned earlier, House Bill 2934 was designed to replace Common Core with state-specific standards. It passed the House in February. However, the Senate rewrote the bill to postpone a repeal decision for 2 years. But there were some things that were going to be happening during those couple of years. Tell me about what is happening now.
Yeah, and ultimately both of those bills didn't make it forward in that sense, so I've had lots of conversations. I've really enjoyed my time getting to know our legislature and recognizing there's been a shift in terms of the dynamics in Charleston, but I have also been able to build great relationships. My leadership style is predicated on building relationships and communicating and understanding differences and trying to move it forward where we can find common ground. The issue in terms of our standards is extremely important because you don't change standards every year. It has a destabilizing effect for our educational system to say to the teachers, I'm now going to give you a new set of standards. Standards are meant to last 8 to 10 years, in that sense. So the reality is now, although those bills didn't move forward, we came out of the session and said, based upon my leadership team and working with the state board, that we're going to go through a comprehensive review of our standards. Right now, we are in the process of putting all of our standards online. That will be available in midsummer, carry that through to the fall, where every citizen can now identify themselves, come online, and tell us what the concerns are with the standards. I've had very few, basically zero comments where people have given me specifics, what the challenges are with the standards. And now I'm saying, tell us what the concerns are. Where do you have issues? We're asking our teachers to provide input, our community members, our parents, our legislature, 1.9 million citizens. We're creating a statewide town hall meeting around this review process. So tell us what you want. At that point, we're going to be using the Southern Regional Education Board and West Virginia University as independent, non-biased entities who will review those comments and organize them in a way and make recommendations to myself as state superintendent and to our state board. And then where we can make those revisions based upon the feedback, our board has said that they will be looking at those to make the revisions because we want to strengthen them and then get to the level where we adopt the West Virginia college and career ready standards. That's what our hope is, so that we can move beyond this conversation, because it's very disconcerting for our teachers and our schools and our parents to have this level of constant threat of a new set of standards every year. As the state superintendent, I have to stabilize the educational environment in our state so that we can begin to move the needle of progress for academic achievement for our kids. Our kids have to be the center of this focus, and they have to make certain that we're doing everything that we can. So this review process is probably the most critical piece of work occurring educationally in the state of West Virginia now, and I ask every citizen to tune into that.
So if people would like to contribute ideas, thoughts, ask questions, they can do that on the website for the state education?
Yes, you can go to
agency?
the West Virginia Department of Education website, and there will be a major piece as soon as you're hit with that. We are going to be introducing it in July at the state board meeting. Is our intent to roll this out, because a lot of planning has had to go into it to get the platform. We have over 800 standards we have to post. But we want to do it in a very meaningful, thoughtful, robust way that we get the feedback from our citizens. Take it to our citizens, take it to the individuals, and really collate that information in a way, because again, throughout the process when people were talking about abolishing the standards, that my question was, what's wrong with them? Give me those specifics. And I had zero comments on that. But this is the opportunity for this state town hall meeting to occur in a way that we're communicating with every citizen.
And if people are also interested in the bigger issue that we've talked about today, and that, that is, the Common Core, and where you've made the distinction between the standards, the curriculum, and then the assessment.
Correct.
Is there a place where they can get information about that as well?
Yeah, again, our website, and I hope that you're able to put this up on, on the TV show here that we have today, is the fact that we have a plethora of information there. And it's just a matter of accessing it. I mean, there's great communications via online, and we have that there. They're repositories of information. But the best place to really engage is engage with your child's teacher if you're a parent. Go into the schools, talk to our principals, talk to our teachers, talk to community superintendents. And we're expecting that our principals and superintendents are going to be having curriculum nights and outreach programs to further understand, because you have to be educated to understand this. Education is a business, and it's everybody's business in West Virginia. I'm firmly believe that the business of children is everybody's business. This is just not relegated to the anointed educators. The way I view it, every citizen in our state has a role in this, because our state's future is counting on it.
Dr. Martirano, thank you very much. This has been a great conversation, and I've learned a lot about what the standards are and what's happening in the state. And I hope we can continue the conversation.
Would be delighted to do so anytime, sir.
Thanks. And thank you for joining us for ICF Insights.